Shit, fat bollocks! Ah! What are you fucking watching, everyone? You fucking back.
I'll give you 5 minutes to say whatever you want to say, and then I'll just cut it out anyway. If I can cut. Can you edit those, or is it like that's it?
I don't know.
I've never recorded on Zoom before. So just say anything you need to say now, and then I'll try and cut it out if I can. I know I know Jeff's trying to jump in, but
I was going to say you can share the link, or you could just upload it to YouTube. And if you upload it to YouTube, you can then just trim the start when you upload it.
I don't mind. I'll probably just leave it in, to be honest. Everyone knows what Chris is like anyway. They'd expect nothing less from Chris. Surprised he's got his t-shirt on.
It's early.
Yeah, a lot of time to go. Yeah. Okay. So basically, there's a few COs that we've got that have just started channels. To be honest, I mean we got Jeff and Tom and Dave and Mark, who's been going for a little while. To be honest, Whisky Resource, but they always got lots of questions about how we do certain things, and I'm quite glad the group we've got actually are quite all established YouTubers. We can call ourselves established YouTubers now, can't we?
Yeah, we're just not very good at it.
Oh yeah.
We're pretty good at it, just nobody fucking watches.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
How long have you been going, Toby? You're 2 years now, aren't you?
Yeah, it's just over 2 years. Yeah.
Chris, what are you? We're all similar time scale, aren't we? We all kind of jumped on around.
It must be 2 years actually. Yeah. Christmas last year. So.
Yeah. What about you, Jude? You're all similar, or
probably be a couple of years, I think, in August.
Yeah.
Coming.
Yeah. And Jeff, how long have you been doing it? What is it, 3 weeks, 4 weeks now?
Really experienced I am, you know.
Well, you're more experienced than Frank, because he ain't even started on it. So,
No.
You've got months on him. So I suppose
been editing for 3 weeks.
Yeah. Jeff, so I'm going to come to you first, because obviously this is kind of aimed at a behind the camera kind of thing, and you're, I suppose, freshest to that kind of experience at the moment. Seeing your Instagram posts and things like that you were editing for 9 hours, was it, last night?
Yeah.
What's your experience been like so far with it? Because I think we've all been where you are at the moment, where we've had those irritating editing kind of moments, or recording where the camera overeats or does something crazy, doesn't record your voice or something. So what's your kind of experience of it so far?
Hell.
Wish you never started kind of scenario.
Yeah, it's instant regret every day now.
What's the biggest problem you're finding? What's the biggest, like?
Finding the time is the hardest thing.
Okay. Yeah.
So lately, work's been mad. So I start work around like 7:30ish, and then some days I'm not finishing till 9 in the evening. So it's a case of then, okay, I've got to then jump on to do some editing because I haven't got any 3 days. But
your job, that's your problem.
Yeah.
It's all right if you didn't have a day job.
Yeah, quick.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll do this full time. You don't need many people to get money, right?
What do you need money for? Do it for the love.
Yes.
Do it for the bant. I'll pay my mortgage in banter.
Yeah.
Because I know someone said that like during lockdown there'd be lots of lockdown babies. Do you think there's been lots of lockdown YouTube channels started because everyone had a bit of more time than they usually have?
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
Jeff knows about the baby.
Well, he's done both, hasn't he?
Yeah,
He's been really busy this holiday. But going back to what
process makes perfect.
Yeah. Is that with the channel or with the baby? So going back to you, Jeff. So you've obviously had a few teething problems with this last video. What was the issue? What was the problems you were having?
So I think it's because my hard drive on my laptop's full, and I guess it just didn't have enough and because of that, it didn't have enough memory, and kind of the RAM kept crashing as it kept loading in the video. So all the media that was loaded into Premiere Pro just kept getting wiped out. So apparently
you're recording in 4K, are you, Jeff, or you're 1080 or what?
1080 is what I set it to. I don't think the quality's that high. But that's what it gets pumped out at.
Yeah. It's when you do the 4K, it starts eating up.
Yeah, I tried a 4K video, only the once.
Do you do yours all in one take though, don't you, Toby?
I try to. I do try to. Yeah. Obviously, there is a gap between my intro and then obviously me starting, and there is a gap between me pouring the sample. But other than that, it is nearly always continuous, unless I make a really stupid mistake, and then I have to try and either blend it in with an edit, or I have to think, can I go back to the last point? Yeah. And if you're mid-taste, you can't do it. It ruins it.
Yeah. Are you conscious of trying not to have as many cuts as possible, or is it just something that you accept and you kind of... Because I remember when we first started, I was cutting out all the and and every time we weren't talking, we made I was going, I was cutting it out, so it was ended up like when the video you're talking and it jumps and you're a little bit over it, and you think, and it was like, I tried to cut every one of those out, and it's unrealistic, isn't it, to be honest?
Yeah, well, I realised when I first started, I was umming and ahhing quite a lot. And then I watched one of Vin's videos when, after I realised I was doing it, and I realised he didn't do it once.
Yeah.
And I was like, how is that possible? But I think as you become more confident and more familiar with the thing you're talking about,
and he's 5 years in, isn't it?
Yeah, it becomes more natural as you're talking about something you are familiar with. As long as it's like when I'm blind tasting, that's completely different, because I'm reacting to it there and then. So there is going to be a thought process. But when it's something that you've tried before and you have some knowledge and familiarity with it, it's easier to just speak your mind and not make mistakes.
And I think we all probably do this, forget how far we've come with doing that. Because, we got a wedding that obviously we can't go to, and we all had to record a video to say happy wedding day and all that. And our kids did it, and they couldn't do it. They felt so uncomfortable on camera, and they just felt like they were just so conscious of what they were doing that they couldn't even string a sentence together. So I think you forget just how kind of much better at it you are than you probably think you are, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I've become very good at talking to the camera as if it's somebody I'm having a conversation with. Because at the end of the day, you need to talk to the camera as if there is, somebody at the end of it. Because when somebody's watching you, I think they have to feel that you're engaging with them. So if you can't engage with the camera, then it just becomes awkward.
Yeah. Jim, I'm going to come to you because you're one of the channels that I watched, and you're doing it in, I don't know what room it was to start with, but you were in a certain room, and then all of a sudden you kind of had this massive evolution. You had like a cupboard behind you, didn't you? There was like whiskies in a cupboard behind you, or was it guitars or something? But it's not that room that you're in now.
Oh, it is. It was this room, but it was just a different angle, yeah.
Yeah. But then you had a massive uplift at some point, and you had all the green screen behind you with the bottle twisting around. And what kind of process was that, and how long was that process of evolving? Did you always have that want to do that, or did you was it something that you'd never imagined you would do, and it just kind of got to that way?
I had the green screen and just didn't know really what to do with it. It just took a while to figure out how to use it for what I wanted to do, and there was an awful lot of what Toby's saying there was exactly the way I was going. That I just didn't know, at the start. That's a very seems like a long learning curve, but I think part of the problem is getting used to the whiskey itself. But then the whole green screen thing was developing. I didn't know where to put it, and then I found I just made space in the loft to work in one end of the loft up there. And it all evolved very quickly. The bottle spinning thing was just an idea, but yet again, it's like everything that all of us do. If all it takes is that idea, and it'll evolve on its own. I think is generally, and I suppose I was sort of lucky that it was probably the first one to have done the green screen thing then, and it stuck with me just, and the The only thing is, I'm sort of caught there now. I don't know. I don't want to change it, but at the same time, every now and again, I sort of want to come up with something fresh. But then I look at Ralphie, and like Ralphie to me is that guy who was there from, who probably spurred most of us on at the start. And I just think, look at his videos haven't changed at all in 10 years, really.
Yeah.
So
do you think that change is as good as a rest, or because that's where I come from? I mean, ours have changed every bloody 6 months in some way because I just get bored. I feel I need to keep the editing and all the different things that we do interesting to me, and I've got my mind just goes like if I'm not doing something different every other few months, I just get bored of it. So it's kind of perhaps doing the same thing over and over again is the way to go, but it's just doesn't work for me.
it's just the time that it takes. As Jeff said, it's the time that it takes alone, already, and because the one thing that I started doing. What I'm doing, the changes that I'm doing are tweaks that I'm doing to the videos I'm already making anyway. So nothing, even though maybe the audience haven't noticed the change, but what I started doing, it's probably about 3-4 months ago, or 3 months ago now anyway, was actually going in and stripping all my audio off and editing my audio separately from the video itself and then remarrying them up again, because it was just cutting out all background noise, as you said, taking out the clicks, the slaps, thems and ahs, but I could sort of do that because I tended to be making these noises with my mouth closed anyway. So it's one of those things I was able then to just go in and take them out of the
joys of a beard as well.
Yeah. so it meant I was able to take them out of the audio rather than actually take them out of the video, and I don't take them all out. I leave some of them in there just because, as you said, it's natural. It's one of those things. Yeah. And trying to do them, I've always tried to do them in one take. Like Toby said yet again, if there's a break, if I can get an actual break, fair enough. As I did, because I just listened to Toby there, who was there before me, and I watched his videos very early on, and it's that thing that you get past a certain point of recording a review, and you think, no, I can't go back now. I would just walk away from it completely and go back another day and do it rather than. But my only issue is outside noise. Basically, where I'm at, it's not insulated for sound. So if I can get that sorted this year, that'll be me. Because if he's got a field full of sheep out the front, you hear every one of them.
You ain't got the ice cream, man, though, have you, mate?
No.
my biggest problem is my two kids. I'll tell them I'm going to do a video and can you be quiet for sort of half an hour, and then all of a sudden I'll hear one of them bashing on his computer or shouting at one of his mates. I'm like, Jesus. And normally I can sort of pause and then wait for them to stop and then think I'm going to throttle them in a minute. Yeah. Carry on. And they're like, oh, I thought you'd stopped. I'll tell you when I've stopped. I'll do it every time. Bloody kids.
How many of you have had a video, I think Jim just kind of mentioned it, that you tried to record and it just never happened? Everything went wrong. It was kind of one of those doomed videos, because we've had them. We've had many of them, to be honest, where it just everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. Have you had that experience with a video? I know Jeff kind of has with his editing recently, but
I've planned to do several videos in one go and then not done all the ones I planned to do. So if I've planned to do 2 or 3 and then I've only done 1 or 2, that happens sometimes, because either just it's not flowing, it's not coming out as well as I wanted, or it just the first 1 or 2 took too long and I just thought I'm going to give up now.
Sometimes you just don't feel it as well, do you? Yeah. We've sat there to do a video and we just haven't. The spark isn't there that you kind of need to get it done, and it's just sometimes you just have to know when to say enough's enough. I'm just going to give it up and kind of come back to it another day. But it's have you, Chris? Have you had anything like that, or are you pretty good at knocking them out when you need to?
That's what she said.
I was going to say, you asked the wrong man that question.
As soon as I said it, I thought, I'll stay professional, stay on point, and I'll see where this goes.
Yeah, I mean, I do recall one where I recorded it and the audio didn't record. And then but I can't remember what it was. I don't think I redone. Oh, I might have redone it, but I honestly can't remember what it was. It was probably about this time last year, I'd have thought.
Yeah, we had. I remember when I first bought my my iPhone, and there was an app on there where you could record from 3 different angles all at the same time. So it used the 3 different lenses. So I thought, well, that'd be good because you can have like all different angles. Well, I can record it in one go. But friggin', every time we recorded, the audio would be out on one of them, and it was just an absolute nightmare. So I think we just thought, you know what, you just got to go. Well, I've gone there. That can't have been for us. I don't know who that was. I just give up on it and just rent one camera, and that'll do. What camera do you use, Toby? Do you
I use my Samsung S10 phone.
So you're doing it on your phone as well, yeah? Okay. About you, Jim, have you on a phone as well?
Yep, that's my old phone actually.
So yours looks really good, I must admit, because I'm not saying yours doesn't, Toby. When you switched up into your green screen setup, I would have swore blind that you'd gone to a camera, to be honest.
I've thought about it. I actually have. I mean, it's one of those things that I keep thinking about going with a good SLR camera or something. But it was one of those things then that I thought, well, why, sharp enough, really, for my purposes. So didn't really think it was worth the money at the minute. Anyway,
I don't watch any of your guys' videos and think that. I know, Chris, you use a camera now, don't you?
Yeah.
You switched up, but I don't. Even before that, to be honest, I don't watch any of your videos and think the camera quality is bad, or it's perfectly fine and good enough. But what made you switch, Chris?
Well, I've always done camera because I've always had a DSLR, and then I got a point and shoot, which filmed in HD.
You're on the Canon now, are you?
Yeah, Canon forever. Come on,
you're a Canon man.
Yeah.
It's Canon or Sony usually, isn't it? Or Nikon.
It used to be Canon or Nikon, but now it's Sony on Canon. But
because Vin's on Sony now,
I'm well behind in their stuff. But I like photography. I've done like photography years ago and stuff like that. So I've got lenses that I've had for a good 10 plus years. So it made sense to continue that. Just get a body. So I've got a 250D, I think it is, which is not like bottom of the range, but it's sort of mid range. But it does 4K, it does 1080p at 60 frames. But
you could definitely see a step up when you did that because your whole angle changed and everything, didn't you? I presume you're using a tripod or something with the camera.
Yeah, I've got a tripod, and I mean, luckily enough, obviously I'm an engineer, so the amount of stuff I've made from scratch to sort of upgrade bits and pieces and stuff like that. So my tripod was a bit short, so I've made a whole extension pole for it. If you saw my rig set up a couple of months ago for the overhead shot, a bit of wood, and I had a plastic bag at the other end with.
Did you watches and everything like that?
Yeah, I'd like a bottle of, I think it was barbecue sauce in one end, and then my camera on the other to balance it out and keep it steady and stuff. And I like all that sort of invention and trying different camera angles and all those different shots. Like I loved watching Pete McKinnon and Potato Jet and stuff like that, and really going into sort of the production side. Yeah,
that's cool. Jeff, what do you use?
I use the cheapest phone I could buy, so I've got a Google Pixel 3a.
Yeah, but even your video quality is not so. Sometimes I can look at some people's and you think it's a bit grainy or whatever, but none of your guys of your videos look anything. I'd say you're all on camera, like I said. It's not. It's amazing how far the mobile phones have come these days, isn't it?
Yep.
You really don't have to outlay a fortune to be able to create a decent looking YouTube channel these days, do you? So what about, I suppose the next step on would be audio from that. Grampian Group wants to be admitted back in again. Do we let him in or not? What do you think?
As long as they're quiet.
I don't even know who it is. That's the problem.
Might find out if you let him in.
Okay, I'll let him in, and then if they will mute him again. So going on after that, I suppose it's your microphone. Do you just use your phone's microphone? Have you got an external one? Toby, do you want to go first?
I use a external tie clip mic with a 10-foot lead on it.
Lapel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. But it's fairly cheap. The sound quality is obviously more than acceptable, but the microphone is good at picking up external noises. It isn't that precise, but it's so much better than the inbuilt phone one.
Yeah, awesome. And Jim, are you just using your?
No, I use a Rode Studio mic. What was it? N16A or something. I can't even remember. I'm using that now, actually. And it was just one. I was using it for recording music anyway. So that's why I'm actually still using the Galaxy S10, because I'm using the phone now as an S20, but they went away from the 3.5 jack on the S20 phone, and I can't. I've got a connection cable just to use the other one, but it's not a great sound quality. So I use the studio mic plugged in via an adapter called an iRig Pre.
Yeah,
and it's just a 9-volt phantom power, basically, which then lets me connect the Canon or the XLR from the mic straight into the phone, and it's good. It's great quality then, because I'm using it literally sort of where I'm filming. It's just about here, but I have it shielded and all around the back of it. And as I say, I go in through FL Studio, strip out my audio, and then edit all the audio and take all the background noise out. When I say background noise, not an awful lot, but it just takes out that hiss that's nearly on everything, So
yeah, absolutely. What about you, Chris? Are you straight to the camera, or I presume you must have a external?
Yeah, I've got a shotgun mic that sits on top of my DSLR, which just goes straight in.
What brand is it? Is it a brand or?
It is. It's not a Rode one. It's the other one, Boya.
Yeah, Boya. Yeah.
But it's from Wish.
Right, they do the
job. It could be a Boya, or it might not be a Boya.
Yeah.
But either way, it's good. It's solid. I mean, it's a good quality product. So it would cost like 15 quid or something like that. So I mean, a lot of my stuff is cheap.
It's funny. My microphone's obviously a cheap one from Amazon, and when it arrived, it came with like a little card that said, "Give us a 5-star review on Amazon, and we'll send you another one for free." Yeah. I didn't bother. I thought I don't need another one.
Yeah.
We tried to review it anyway.
Yeah, we tried the
lapel stories, so I'll be back.
We tried the lapel mics, and the feedback on it was horrendous. So we just didn't bother in the end. We just carried on.
I do have to be careful with mine, that sometimes it will rub on my clothing, and then it picks that up, and ideally it shouldn't.
Yeah. It's not what the design for.
Yeah, it does happen occasionally.
Yeah,
and it's normally if I'm looking at the camera, it's fine. It's normally when I go to drink, it'll move and it'll and I have to edit that out.
It's like when you try and do outdoor videos in the wind. Lucky if you got one of the mufflers, but even then, we've had some horrendous wind noise coming through the microphone. So it's they're not always. You
need a decent mic as well, yeah. Not just.
I think it's when you start venturing out into those kind of areas, that's when kind of the money starts showing, doesn't it? Whether you're putting money where your mouth is, but it's we haven't switched to a camera just yet. Keep on thinking about it, but because I edit on an iPad, doing it on the iPhone and just airdropping the files over is just so easy that it just adds one more step in that I don't need, to be honest.
Yeah, see, for me, I shoot on the phone and I edit on the phone. It goes nowhere. So that's even better. It's so much quicker. There's no data exchange. Yeah. And then when I'm ready, I just upload to YouTube straight from the phone.
Yeah, absolutely. So what software are you using, Toby?
I use a software called KineMaster. Yeah. And it's funny because it does work on my laptop as well, but I'd have to transfer all the files to the cloud, and then or plug the phone in. And it will take time, whereas I can edit straight from the phone. So if I've got a spare 5 minutes, I can just do some.
Yeah, and this is another point I was going to come to. Do you think you'll outgrow the software, or do you think it?
Yeah, it does have. It has a few limitations, but they are adding features all the time. It's a paid-for product.
Yeah.
So they do have features all the time. They've got suggestion like forums and stuff where you can upvote stuff and make new suggestions. So
yeah.
I'm sure by the time I think I'm going to outgrow it, they'll probably add the features I want.
Yeah. Can you see yourself ever making the choice, I suppose, to kind of upgrade to maybe like PC editing or Mac editing or anything like that?
Yeah, I could do, but obviously I'd have to be at a point where not only would I think that my videos need it, but also you've got enough audience to justify the extra in cost. Yeah. Obviously, all the time you're spending money, you're just spending money on a hobby you enjoy, and does it justify the outlay? And if it does, it does. If it doesn't, then stick with what you got.
Yeah. Same to you, Jim. Really, I mean, can you see yourself ever? Well, first of all, what software do you use, and what?
I'm using Filmora, Filmora 10 as it is now, and it's just one of those things. Yeah, I could see me, because I know there's far better software out there, but yet again, like Toby said, they're just evolving so quick to try. All of these software creators are evolving to try and catch up with as far as I can see, to try and catch it, because they
don't want you to move platform, do they? They want you to stay. And as the phones are a computer and they get more sophisticated, and or tablets or whatever, then they want to keep you on those platforms.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
Because I do all my editing on PC using Filmora, simply because I'm using a monitor here. It's an old flat screen television of ours, and it's like 40 something inches in front of me, so it's just one of those things that I've got used to with this great big screen that I can see everything that's going on without having to blow it up. And it's just it's the amount of memory that's taken. That green screen and takes up an awful lot, or just seems to slow everything to a grinding halt sometimes, so it's just it's handier to use the PC, and this is a fairly powerful one that we're using, and it just that Filmora just works for me. I've just got used to it, but it certainly, yet again, it's a paid for product, and while it keeps evolving and bringing in things, because it's like what you asked earlier, Anthony, it's one of those things, about changing videos and doing things out there. Your software sometimes makes those decisions for you, I think, because all of a sudden that offers something to you didn't realize you could do before. Yeah. And you just think, that's good in. I'll just put it in, just anywhere, and that's the evolution of it, isn't it?
Yeah. And I suppose the question is, Jim, how? Let's say, obviously, knowing your software that you're using 100%, how do you think your software 100%? Or do you think there's still things that you can discover? Or
no, there's definitely things for me to learn. There's no denying that. I don't use it to its full ability, but it does what I need it to do at the minute. And there's no point. The way I look at it is, there's no point in me. I suppose I could look around, and as in, I could look around within the software and look for ideas and look for different things, but I could end up. The other thing is, I could end up making a mess of things. You could end up adding in too much and just losing the quality. As Toby said, yet again, it was all about a hobby. Yeah, it's still a hobby. I said it to you one time that, if I didn't have any YouTube subs, I would do this anyway, because I couldn't keep my mouth shut about whiskey. I needed to tell somebody what I thought of these whiskies. But as you said to me, it's nice to know, though, that people are watching. That you still need that too. So that's why, as I said, to me, it's still about the whiskey first, and then it's how well I can make this look after that.
And I think it's very hard to I know, I think Vin said to me when we first started, don't get hung up on the subs because it's more about the views and things like that. But it's still hard to not feel that way, isn't it? Because it's hard when you've put in the effort and the work that we all do to our videos. It's nice to get the views, but it's also nice when someone's viewed your video and then decided to subscribe as well because I want to see more of it. Mm-hmm. So I think that is one of the issues. It's just that I think a subscription or when someone just decides to click that subscribe button, it just means they put their faith in you a little bit more. They like what you're doing, they trust what you're doing, they trust you as a reviewer of the whiskey, and they want to watch more of it. And I think, to me, it's not a hang up on subscribers, but it's just a way of being able to tell how well you're hitting your viewers, really. You know,
100%. And we don't. It's only recently that I've started to realise. I don't mean power. Power is not the word, but I didn't realise how much we influence people. And that even today, I got a message from somebody based on my Pindarin review saying I've just cancelled my Amazon order. And it's like, shit, man, I didn't mean to do that. But at the same time, it's nice that somebody has watched the video and had their faith in me to make their decisions. Now, at the same time, then, as I say, I would go, look, it's just me saying that.
Yeah.
Watch at least another good half dozen videos and everybody will say Pindarin's brilliant. So don't just,
But I suppose the positive from that is you save them money. It's when they bought a bottle on your word and you've cost them money. That's the issue. It's when someone watches it and they give you a message like saying, oh, I've seen your video, I'm going to go and buy a bottle of that now. And you think, I hope they enjoy it.
I had a comment the other day from somebody who watched my Macallan Gold video. And they said, thanks for, being honest and saying that basically you shouldn't waste your money. But what should I buy instead for the same money? And that made me think, oh, actually, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
But I've really got to think about it now. What would I buy instead of that tastes a million times better? So
you don't know their tastes, either.
No, exactly. So I came up with a Scotch, an Irish, and a worldwide whiskey, just to sort of like add to the mix, something that would be, slightly sherried, but would, be 10 times better than Macallan Gold.
Yeah, it's always hard, isn't it? When every video we do, we're either recommending or not recommending whiskies to people. Yeah. So it's hard to.
And obviously, we're doing it based on our tastes.
Yeah,
and everybody's different. But I suppose you have an idea generally whether or not something tastes great or not. And if something doesn't taste great, then it probably won't taste great to the majority of people watching.
Yeah. I think when it comes down to a specific style of whiskey, you either like it or you don't.
Yeah.
You all know whether it's a good or a bad version of that style.
Yeah, I remember you saying about bourbon. Bourbon's obviously one that doesn't tickle the boxes for you. But for other people, that's where it starts and ends. So,
absolutely,
it's really difficult that you've got to try and get across your message, but without alienating people who might really enjoy that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Jeff, I'm going to come to you now. So you obviously watch YouTube videos. You've watched many reviews, I would imagine. You've probably watched everyone who's on here. Most people would say when you're going to do a YouTube channel, you should have a USP of your channel.
What it's going to be.
It's the slap, isn't
it? Yeah. What was your initial thoughts of what did you look at and think, okay, I can add to this kind of pool of whiskey tubers? What was your kind of push to make you do it?
I don't think I had anything special, to be honest. It was I just wanted to learn how to edit videos. That was
because you do something like that for your business anyway, don't you?
So I'm a web and graphic designer.
Yeah.
So I thought I've never done video editing, so I thought it'd be a good excuse to learn it.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, no one's listening to me around here talking about whiskey, so maybe someone online would listen.
I suppose it is a way of engaging with people as well. If you don't have that audience locally, people who you can chat to about the subject. I was in the same boat when I started. It is almost like you're talking to somebody who then might respond.
Yeah.
You don't know who it is, but you're starting a conversation. You're hoping somebody will finish it.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
throwing your ideas out there, and then
Join in.
someone can join in after or not. If kind
Yeah.
of fits.
I have to say, Jeff, your videos have evolved so quick. In my opinion, from what I've been
Downhill,
watching,
yeah.
Sorry.
Downhill, yeah.
You can't evolve downhill, Jeff.
No.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And many of you made half a dozen.
I've just finished editing my 8th one.
Yeah, but you edited that 4 times.
Yeah.
He's on 12 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they started in February. But they've got the amount you've put in there, but it's not. I just find them entertaining. There's never anything. Some of them can. I think some people can put out videos and just try to put stuff in that it just looks messy. Yours, I just think they're all very well placed. Put it like that. Everything that goes in there has its place in there, and like props to you, mate. It's definitely done well for you. So it has. No hope.
Cheers.
I hope it improve. I hope you get the subs to back it up.
Oh, cheers. I hope so. I think I kind of grew very much with YouTube. So I've been watching YouTube every day, probably good, I don't know, 8 years now. And I started watching like the Let's Play people. So like the gamers. So like I'd watch PewDiePie and like all the big names, Jack Frags, like play games and then do commentary.
Yeah.
And then they kind of would then intertwine it with like popular culture clips and that lot. So I think that's where I'm trying to slot in maybe, is because that's kind of what I've known, and the kind of quick cut.
And it's quite easy to mimic the things that you see entertaining from your point of view. We mimic our surroundings, don't we? So it is quite easy to take on that, even if it is in a different genre.
Yeah, I think I was chatting to someone the other day, because we used to always watch. I never really watched telly. It was always kind of YouTube, and like people younger than me, so like my nephew, who's like 10, every day it's just no telly, it's just YouTube.
Yeah, my kids don't watch TV, and they're 17 and 21.
Yeah,
don't watch TV at all.
We don't, to be honest. We don't.
Don't need it with Netflix.
Oh yeah, well it's still TV, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah.
It's not user generated content.
I always go to YouTube now when I switch the telly on to find content to watch.
I use it.
I never look.
For me, it's probably 25-30% of all the TV I watch. It's a decent chunk.
Yeah. So, Jeff, you're kind of the one thing I've got on here is video style. So where you're saying that you kind of have picked that up in your YouTube kind of watching journey kind of thing. That's where you've picked your style up from.
I wouldn't say style. Style sounds like it's planned, or it's actually.
You must now kind of mimic the video. Your first video obviously sets the way your video is going to look. So that's your kind of your style now, isn't it?
Yeah,
Everyone
like the
will
aesthetic
know Jeff
of it, yeah.
for the style of videos that you do, and that has obviously been influenced by other YouTube channels that you've watched and things like that, and you've just grown to what you are now on YouTube. But Toby, I mean, who were you watching that got you to where you are now?
The two main channels I was watching was Aquavitae and No Nonsense Whisky. They were the two main channels I watched in large numbers at the start, and I just sort of connected with the content that they were putting out. It just felt like they were the sort of style, and the way they spoke to the camera was what interested me. And everybody will connect with different channels in different ways.
Absolutely. What about you, Jim? Was there anyone that obviously you've mentioned Ralphie, so he was a big influence on you from the start?
Ralphie, Roy. I mean, I'm still learning. Yourselves, Toby, Chris, all you guys, and even Johnny back in the day, Spirits people.
Yeah.
I'm just, I was just watching, and I still, as I say, I used to watch everybody. I used to feel like as if I had to watch every whiskey video that come out.
Oh yeah, I was like that once.
Yeah,
and
1,000 a day.
Yeah, and then it just you start to think, well, hold on, there's a whiskey that I'll probably never own. I'll never have. I don't. So what does it matter? Why bother watching the reviews? And now I've got to the point where I pretty much watch the reviews of the whiskies that I want to know about or whatever. So I haven't really. Yeah, like Jeff said it. You know, to say even that there was a style or anything. No, but then the green screen thing and I think a lot of us, and Jeff's done it, has made a rod for his own back. I made a rod for my own back with the intros, and that when I stopped doing the intros then, or an intro for every video, I felt like as if I'd cut something off, but the ideas ran out, and I just couldn't keep doing it. And but that's changing, probably changing for the worst in that case. But I mean, that was changing, like, and I think you do. I think we've all done it, where you get to a point where you go, right, here's what we can get away with, and here's what we'll focus on. And as I said earlier, I think initially it's all about the whiskey. So if we can keep it about that, and then make something visually interesting enough to keep people watching, I suppose.
It's, I mean, coming to you, Chris, as well, who were you watching that kind of influenced your initial style? Obviously, it's changed and evolved, but who was it that kind of set you in motion?
Whiskey Vault.
I'm surprised I haven't been mentioned yet, to be honest.
Well, they were one of the first chats I watched, but I couldn't mimic them, so...
Yeah,
I mean, I definitely watched Whiskey Vault initially. I barely watched Ralphie. I still barely watch Ralphie. Vin, but not so much Roy either. Because I mean, Roy's like pre-recorded stuff. He'd done a few recycle reviews and stuff like that, didn't he? But it's only been the last sort of year and a half, 2 years that his lives are really taken off. I mean, that's the main bread and butter of what he does now.
Yeah. So we used to watch.
Whiskey Bitch. I always liked Whiskey Bitch. She was good.
She's stopped now, hasn't she? She
stopped a long time ago.
Because we've lost some really good people as well, haven't we? Along the line, even since we started, there's been a few people who've come and gone that I thought were really good, to be honest.
Yeah, well, Ben's disappeared, isn't he? The whiskey geek, and
we lost Johnny.
I used to love watching his videos.
Yeah, Johnny. I think he went on to do more career, though, didn't he? I think it was more.
Yeah, the job got in the way.
Yeah, and Matt from Air Whisky.
Mm-hmm.
He was going great guns. He was, I tell you, at the time. It was such a shame. The guests who was getting on his show, I was like envious of him, to be honest.
Mm.
But I think just life gets in the way sometimes, doesn't it?
It's something that, and Roy said it to me in a private chat, in a personal chat one time we were having with each other. And I don't rely on him for everything. I don't, he's a friend. I enjoy his work. But it was something that he said that stuck with me, and and I agree with him. I think it's longevity that'll tell on all of us. I was surprised how many we've lost.
Yeah. And
that's just simply, I mean, you guys know it as well as I do, that there's an awful lot of us out there. And I'm sure I'm not alone in saying every now and again, you've thought, what have I done here? I quite happily just put that part of my life aside and say, right, well, I've got a lot of whiskey here. I'll just enjoy it and not bother reviewing it anymore. But all it takes, every time I think that, all it takes is one good comment, one nice comment, one extra subscriber, and you just go, no, well, that's why I'm doing it. That's what it's for.
Yeah.
Even blogs I followed in the past, people disappear from blogs and they just stop publishing. And sometimes you just don't know why. The blog might stay there and you've been following the articles and you think, oh, when's the next one coming? You realise every time you check it, there's nothing new. And, life gets in the way for whatever reason, people stop.
Yeah, I think Jim hit the nail on the head. I think sometimes you feel like you're talking to no one, and then you get that one comment that tells you that you've influenced them, or they've kind of took your word on what you've said and they love the whiskey that you recommended, and it kind of resets you back into, okay, I'm going to keep going. Because, you know, Nicola will tell you, we've had our moments where we've been like, you know what, I mean, to a certain extent, like the kids are phoning up saying, can we come round and have dinner with you or something? And I'm like, nah, sorry guys, we've got a live, we're doing something, we're recording a video, or, Sunday's our video recording day. And then you don't see the kids because you're doing YouTube videos, and it almost feels...
I can't get rid of them.
But it almost feels wrong, doesn't it, that you're giving up the kid time because you're recording videos? Or
I know what you mean. I have to kick everybody out of the room and make sure everybody's quiet, nobody comes downstairs, stay up there, out my way, be quiet. And you sort of think you're dictating others because you want to do something for you. It's not like you're just going out somewhere and you're not bothering anybody, but you are actually impacting other people, even if it's temporarily.
Yeah, and I suppose I'm lucky because Nick's doing it with me, so I've at least got my wife doing it.
Yeah.
You guys, they're actually kicking your wife.
I've tried forcing my wife into doing it with me, and she's not interested.
That's why you invited around.
I'm surprised Christian jumped on that. What about the whiskey?
He's been to my house. That's the problem.
I know where he lives.
Yeah.
Okay, so just moving on from actually kind of creating YouTube channels. I think we'll probably do this in a couple of different videos, to be honest, because we have hardly touched anything I was going to talk about. But what's your opinion on kind of advertising your videos once you've made them? Do you go to great efforts to kind of push that you've got a new video coming out, or do you use social media? Do you use any other kind of forms of advertising to get your videos out there? Toby, I'll come to you first on that.
Well, for me, I post on Twitter, post on Facebook. I don't post on Instagram anymore because people just don't click through and watch videos from Instagram. They just want to see nice pictures of whiskey.
Yeah.
So, even if it's a still
You
or
don't have any, do you? So.
Hey?
You only got any nice whiskies, so.
Even if you just have a picture of it, and in the blurb it says, I'm just tasted this and just reviewed it, whatever. People, I don't think most people read the text. They just look at the picture, nice picture, like it, scroll to the next one.
I mean, do you find that if you'd done a really good thumbnail, you thought, wow, that's a good thumbnail, would you then put that on Instagram? Because that would be a good picture and a thumbnail at the same time.
I have done that before, and it didn't work, so I gave up. I post on a few Facebook groups, and I think within the first sort of 4 or 5 days, you get the bulk of the people that will watch it, and after that, YouTube does its own thing, and people find it or they don't find it. And sometimes you get a video that might, go off the rails and you get massive views, and other times, it goes nowhere. It just depends on what it is. If you're reviewing a bottle that somebody can't buy, but you just want to share that, this is what it tasted like, then you've got probably a more limited audience than a core range bottling that anybody can buy.
Yeah.
It's the hyped bottles, isn't it? They're always good views. I mean, they're always good views.
It's just knowing. The biggest problem is most of us get those bottles at the same time, don't we? So you're getting loads of reviews coming out at the same time. So it can kind of thin the herd a little bit on the views, but it's...
Yeah. You've only got to write Springbank in your title and guaranteed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guaranteed 500 views.
How do you spell that? Springbank.
Yeah, it's called Slapbank for you, mate.
Yeah, that's something very different, that is. That doesn't get filmed. Well, for free anyway.
Good do.
You make more money from that than whiskey.
Yeah. What's your opinion on advertising your channel? I know you're quite active on socials, aren't you?
Well, sort of. But just before I do that, the Springbank thing, I put a picture of the the 12-year-old cast strength sitting on top of the toilet one time just to see what happened. Yep, hundreds of views, hundreds of likes, because it doesn't matter. It's Springbank. But yeah, no, I pretty much just advertise. I just stick the thumbnail because I'm a creature of habit. Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Instagram, funny, I still would be my main one. That still,
Okay.
But it's just because I'm a creature of habit. But that being said, every Wednesday, 10 o'clock in the morning, a new review will be out. And because I'm working full time during the day now again, I don't get the chance to advertise it straight away. Generally, it could be sometime later that day, and I'll watch my views crawling until those adverts go out. And as soon as those adverts go out, the views just spike. Then so it does work. There's
Clearly,
no
I click that bell icon, have they?
Yeah, I found with Twitter, if you post at the wrong time as well, because obviously Twitter is real time, it only shows in people's feeds out of sync occasionally. So if people aren't on there within sort of half an hour of you posting it, then they'll miss it. So I normally try and post to Twitter several times, at different times, so people will catch the link.
Yeah, I suppose this is a good question going on about the Springbank. Do you let views dictate the whiskies you buy, or do you buy the whiskies because you want them and then review them?
So it's sort of eating itself a bit, isn't it? Because I could tell you, we'll all know actually a whiskey or any whiskey in your cabinet that nobody will watch a review on because there was only 300 bottles of it released and you managed to get one, or because it just, it's bottom shelf or something like that there, and but I think if you want to keep moving forward, you have to still review these whiskies. You still have to, they're out there. Somebody wants to see a review of it.
Yeah.
But it is almost suicide as a because you just know that that's the ones that people aren't going to watch. Right. But it's back to that. You review Springbank, everybody will watch it. You review, it's the standard bottlings that, I'm saying standard bottlings. It's always that one, those ones, the sort of £30 to £50 mark, isn't it? That we can all afford and we all want to try.
Yeah.
Keep reviewing them, but we've all done the reviews of them already. So
yeah, and you have to remember that your reviews are out there for however you want to leave them out there for, aren't they? Until you delete your channel, your reviews are there. So even if one doesn't get the views that you imagine it should get, if you get bigger and you maybe get kind of to the levels of Roy, Vin, people will be watching your videos that you made 2 years, 3 years ago. They'll revisit them, won't they? But that's what I do. I find a channel I love and I'll probably go back and watch everything that they've done and just catch up to where they are now. And
it also lets you see the evolution of their channel as well.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people have looked at some of my older videos and thought, oh my God, I thought he was bad now. Look how bad he was a couple of years ago.
Be self-depreciating.
It's funny, I can watch a video of mine from, say, only 6 months ago and I think, oh my God, that's awful.
Yeah.
And because you are evolving with every video, you become more confident and natural in front of the camera. And it is just noticeable video to video.
Jeff made a good point, actually. I think it was in his Instagram post where he said he never wants to see his own face again. And I'm really weird when I'm editing. If I'm in the editing phase, I can go all week and edit and watch myself and cut and do this and do that. As soon as it's finished, I can't watch that video. I find the same. I find it quite awkward watching it back. I pass it on to Nicola. She proof watches it, but I never watch it again. It's that unless she says there's something wrong, then I'll go back in and it resets back into the editing phase again. But actually watching it as a finished video, I can't do it. I just can't do it.
It's funny because I a couple of times I've not proof watched the video outside of the editing process. I've watched it fully in the editing process, but you have to watch it again once it's on YouTube, because YouTube can do funny things to videos sometimes.
Yeah.
And I've done that a couple of times. Not watched and thought, oh my god, I've missed a bit. That's gone funny.
Yeah. Well, YouTube with that, I don't know if it's a software you use or what, but YouTube always used to elevate the music. So I'd put the music in at all the right levels. We'd watch it on the iPad; it would be fine. I'd stick it onto YouTube, and all the music would be blown up. And you
I find the opposite. I find it's quieter if I watch it on a TV,
right?
But perfect on a digital.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you can't really win that battle, can you? Because it's obviously the volume levels on the devices and all what YouTube's doing to it, but. Yeah, I completely agree with YouTube.
I remember initially that your audio was so quiet. I had to turn it up. I had to turn my tablet up so loud.
Yeah, I remember. I always used to adjust my volume on my TV. Then when he sorted his audio out, it blasted out my TV.
But the thing is, with our software, I always had it dead in the middle of the volume, so it wasn't in yellow, so it wasn't too quiet. It wasn't in the red for too loud. So that obviously in the green, you would imagine would be the perfect volume to have it set up. Now I've got it whacked up fully into the red, and it doesn't distort or anything. Well, not that I know of anyway. But
it's with mine to get the audio right as well.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
In my early videos, it's quiet, and it was trial and error. Get it to, and the software should sort it out. It didn't. It was trial and error in the end.
And that just as a wee tip, if you are looking at your audio, you should be aiming for 0 to minus 0.6 in the audio scale. Anything above that will start to distort.
Yeah, I was finding it was always too quiet.
Yeah,
it would never get to the right point. And I played with the settings and managed to get it pretty much perfect in the end.
But then you watch some videos and the intros that they've pre-made, the volume's up there, and then they kick in and they're really quiet, and you're kind of adjusting your volume up and down all the way through the video, aren't you?
And it's quite funny when I'm watching just YouTube generally. I have my TV set at a certain volume, and then you realise that most videos it is perfect because most videos are correct. Every so often you'll get some that are a bit too loud, and you get some that are a bit too quiet.
Yeah, I'm the same because, like I said before, my son's working in the front room, so I've got YouTube on my telly in the kitchen, and I can put one video on, and I know the volume on my telly, I can have it at 20, and it doesn't bother him. Some videos, YouTube videos, you put on, and it's like I've got it on 50, and it's all of a sudden it'll whack up there, and he'll be like, "Dad, turn it down," and I'll be like, "Oh no, so give me a minute, the remote won't work."
I even get it occasionally on normal TV. You find the perfect volume on your TV, and occasionally there's a program that's just a little bit too loud or just a little bit too quiet.
Yeah, absolutely.
We used to have a disaster whenever we were playing in the bars, and somebody would reach you their iPod, just an iPod or any player, and say, "Look, there's your background music. Work away," and nobody ever levels them. So. You could have a song. We've set the volume through the amp just to play this, and it's generally weddings we're talking here, and you're and everything's nice, it's lovely, it's sweet, it's whatever, and then something hardcore will come on straight after it, and it'll be blasting. They just haven't balanced it at all, and the room starts to shake, and there's a dash across the room to try and get it turned down again.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's, one of the other things with regards to advertising, guest appearances on other channels, do you think they work to grow your channel? Or do you think they're nice to appear on someone else's channel? Do you think it has a positive effect on your channel? Do you find you get lots of subscribers from it? Jim, I'm sure you've been on Roy's channels a few times. Toby, Chris, has it made a big difference to your subscribers appearing on other people's channels, or is it not something that? Because you imagine it would, wouldn't you? You'd imagine you'd go onto someone like Roy's channel, you do a live, people don't know who you are, they look at you and they think, "Yeah, I like him, I'm going to go and subscribe to his channel." Do you find that that actually happens or not, or
Yes.
you do?
Well, that helped me. The first time I went on to Roy's, I think I picked up 150 subs or something within 2 days. Just
Yeah, but you've got a sexy Irish voice there. That probably helps.
Hey, I done a sexy video and that didn't work.
Yeah, but you didn't have the sexy voice to go with it, did you, Chris?
I don't know. I found it quite good. I mean,
Have you been on to Roy's channel, Toby, or any other YouTube channel?
I've not been on Roy's channel other than I was on his channel as a somebody taking part in a blind tasting, so I was off camera. But yeah, I've found when I've been on other people's channels, you get like a handful of subscribers, but it isn't like large numbers. You get like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
At a time.
What about you, Chris?
I've never been invited on anyone.
No.
You've been on mine.
You've been on ours as well.
Yeah, but that was a joint thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, but
you were on.
exactly. You went on mine, and my subscribers went down.
Weirdly, mine went up.
They all jumped over, didn't they?
Yeah.
Because Chris, you were on someone's channel. You were wearing a crown and a vest, and that's how I found you. I don't know what you were.
No,
on.
it wasn't. I have been on.
That was mine.
I have been. I lie. I've
That was
lied.
my Christmas.
I've lied.
That's how I
That's
found
a
it.
big fat lie. Who was I on?
It was my Christmas
It's on
special.
Jim's.
I was with Jim.
Yeah.
Was that when you did the crown and the top?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it?
Whisky King, yeah.
Because we did our bit with you, and then we left, and then all I heard was that you'd fell asleep or something, Jim, and you at some point, or you just disappeared off camera.
I desperately needed the toilet, and just everybody was talking. I just could not get away. The thing was, I realised that I had Paul from Belfast Whisky Week on, and that's always a mistake. Because when Paul just starts talking, there's nothing stops him at all. So it was like, I just walked off.
Yeah, we thought you'd gone to bed.
Did you come back, or was that it? You
I
just
come
went,
back.
You come back.
Some people had left, but
So, because I don't think that people kind of understand how much work goes into setting up these kind of big YouTube chats where you've got all the guests and stuff coming in. I mean, we've all done it, and it's a lot of work, isn't it? You know, I mean, you're probably one of the more recent that done it at Christmas. But it's a nightmare. Really, and it's good, but it's a nightmare.
The thing is, I want to do it this year again. But what I'd actually wanted to do, but just hadn't got around to doing it, was get some of the guests, whichever guests I had or whatever, you know, or even do it that because there was groups of 4, groups of 3, whatever way it worked out, and say, right, on the hour, every hour or every hour and a half, I'm going to disappear for 5 minutes. You take over, you know, as the guest sort of thing, you know, and I think if I do it again this year, and hopefully I'll have somebody who's back, I'll do that, you know, and just because you guys have done it, I've never done anything that long before, and I just hadn't prepared for it at all. I don't know who is it that does. There's so many.
Alan does the long one.
Yeah, Alan does those real epic sessions, and I've asked Alan that. How do you do it? And he says, "I've got a bladder like a
drunk."
Yeah, but he's very much drunk, you know, by the end of it. But it's just got a large bladder and can cope with it. I can't.
He's got the bag.
He's got the
bag.
He is old enough for one, I suppose.
Even that or incontinence pants. That's what you need, Jim. Just some like tenor lady.
I'll just bring a commode in here.
Yeah,
I move a commode in rather than an office seat.
I think even Dan with the Somerton Club, even he learned that lesson last year.
Yeah, you let the guests take over. And
he had Matt take over for the second half, didn't he? And I think you do. It's impossible to think that you can talk all day. I mean, you know, we like to talk, but it is hard to keep kind of the conversation going for a whole day. You know, I don't think I could do it personally.
Yeah, it was quite interesting when the on the Somerton Club Part 1, when it all went wrong.
Yeah.
He was trying to sort stuff in the background, and the guests just filled in.
Yeah.
So that was prompt you, and it worked really well because people were just talking generally about whiskey and picking up questions in the chat. It can just sort of, work with no particular subject.
Yeah, but it just reverts back to a normal Zoom kind of chat.
Yeah, and you've got lots of people with lots of interesting things to talk about, and they'll just talk.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guest appearances, obviously, Jim, you had a massive uptake from it. We're going on to Roy's. Live chats. So, when you're doing your videos and you get comments, do you actively try to answer every comment on every video, or do you kind of just do it when you feel like it, or what's your process with regards to comments on your videos? Chris, we'll come to you for that.
Yeah, I try and answer everyone.
Do you think that'll be sustainable as you get bigger? Do you think you'll be able to do that?
No, not when you start hitting hundreds of comments.
Yeah.
Well, you can see that with like Roy. He doesn't answer everything, and obviously you can only pick up on it periodically. And when he's got really interesting guests, sometimes the conversation takes over, and he picks up on very little in the chat.
Yeah.
So sometimes it works really well, and sometimes you just talk to your audience and hope you haven't missed anything that's really important. They're trying to, feed back to you.
This brings back to a question I was going to ask you guys. Do you watch less Whiskey Tube now you do yourself than you did before?
Yeah.
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 It's almost like just don't have enough time.
Yeah. Yeah. About you, Jeff, being relatively new to it, do you watch less, more, or?
Definitely watching more. Before kind of I discovered about the whole YouTube thing, I would watch the occasional video. I would if I had a sample, I would search for people's review on that. So I would drink it, write my notes, and then the last half of the glass of the sample, I'd then watch other videos. So I would search, and then I never really watched it as consecutive channels.
Yeah.
And that's probably only around Christmas time this year I've actually started watching. You watch certain people do their videos. And now I think because I know what goes into a video, I want to watch other people's just to kind of support them.
How has your job helped?
What?
Because obviously you're in this line of work anyway with advertising and things like that. How has it helped? Have you been able to take some of your knowledge from your day job and put it into the YouTube thing?
I think kind of the graphic design side has helped, and kind of having a basic grasp of Adobe products, and also having the Adobe equipment because I get that through work.
Yeah.
So that's definitely helped. I used to do photography, and I thought that would help me more than it has. I think probably, and I did media as well. So I did interactive media as my course, and again, that's not helped. But yeah, I don't know really. I think having creative side helps, and having I've got a fancy laptop because now I'm working from home. I've had to buy all my own equipment. So having I think my laptop only costs 400 quid.
Yeah.
It does the job, but I don't know. But regarding sound, has anyone found my sound to be too loud, judging by Jim's comment of 0 to -6?
No, not really. No, I wouldn't say so.
No, once I've noticed it.
I think as long as your sound isn't distorted, as long as it isn't distorted, which I haven't picked up that it is, then I would rather it be too loud than not loud enough. I'd rather be able to just turn it down a bit than
than cranking it up to the max on your TV.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, because sometimes you got your headphones in. Obviously, the sound's a lot louder. So if I'm trying to watch it on my phone at work, I'm sometimes trying to hear the microphones, the speakers, so I can hear what people are saying. I've got my headphones in; it's perfectly fine. But it's finding that happy balance, isn't it? It's I think Toby was saying, it's a struggle to find that happy medium of where it kind of fits the TV iPad, the iPhone, the headphones.
Yeah, especially if you've got any background music, that's very difficult.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it?
Certain styles of music can get lost in the background, and others can be, quite.
Some people have asked me. People have asked me or said to me before, lose. Somebody said one time, lose the background music, and you've got an extra sub. And it's like, you're the first person to ask me, so I'm not going to lose the background music just to please you, sort of thing. I didn't say anything. I just passed it off. But it's just, yet again, I'm a creature of habit that's been there. I must say, I've turned it down. It's getting, it keeps creeping down, because every now and again I will go back and watch one and go, that's too loud.
Yeah,
it's I'm starting to lose my voice there with it just the fact that it's there. Yeah. But it's just something, and people talk about it, the background music, and it's just something that fills the breaks for me. That's the way I look at it.
Exactly. And for me, it's very good at hiding some of those little noises as well.
Yeah.
Otherwise, because when I'm editing it on the phone and you're listening to it through headphones, you can hear all those little noises. And as soon as you put the background audio track on, they sort of disappear. So the little noises, it's really good at disguising.
Yeah. We used to, when we have like our slide-on banners, I used to have this little noise that would go whoosh as they come on. And someone put like one comment in there, saying, lose that noise as they slide on, because it's really annoying. And I was like, absolutely, because it's a frigging nightmare trying to match the sound every time one of them come. It just took the one person to say it. I was like, yep, gone, because I just couldn't be asked to find the sounds to match every single time it came on. It was like, I'll do that. Yeah, I think it's a brilliant idea. That is, I'll get rid of it. But I think sometimes that it's probably wrong anyway, and you're just waiting for something. Yeah,
especially if it's taken you quite a while to sort of put it together, and then you realise, is the effort actually worth it for such little gain?
Yeah, I think one of the best features I found on our editing software, I think it's called audio ducking. Jim probably knows this. And you guys all do. And as soon as I found that, and it was like, that just saved me so much time, because I was having to
manually
down again. As soon as I found that, it just made it so much easier. But so before I'm gonna knock this off in a minute, because I've got so much more I wanted to do, but I just think we need to do more videos, to be honest. So we'll call this a day in a minute. But how much time does it take you now to edit a video as to when you first started? Because I'm sure Jeff would be very interested to hear if that time scale has reduced over the 2 years you've all been doing it. So, Chris, what about you, mate? What's your kind of editing time like now compared to your start?
Well, let's get recording time. Let's start from there. Recording time
go for recording. Yeah, it's a good point.
10-15 minutes recording.
Okay.
Probably about.
What about planning before the recording? So you got planning, recording, editing.
Yeah, probably about 15 to 20 minutes setting up camera, light, backlight. Wherever I'm going to do it, tripod, frame. Setting up the recording of it is the easiest bit.
Yeah,
it's the quickest bit.
Yeah,
it's the setup. I mean, I'd love to have like a studio where you can just go in, put the camera on, and then just press record, and everything's set up, ready to go. You don't need to do anything. But they're pipe dreams, I think. But the editing wise, depending on what style of video it is. So obviously I've done quite a few event stuff. They'll take a lot longer, maybe a good 3-4 hours. That stop motion thing, McNamara stop motion video, that took a good 5 hours to edit.
Right.
Trying to get that included like recording voiceovers and all that sort of thing as well. That took ages. But my general cognac review videos, they would take an hour maybe, because you just get into that mode. I've got all my intro set up anyway. I can stick in the sort of the transitions because I use Premiere Pro. They're just drop and dump onto the timeline and they're done. They're very, very easy to use. So yeah, and then rendering that takes the longest.
Yeah.
Takes. My last video, I decided to just use a preset in Adobe and in Premiere Pro, and it took a quarter of the time. So I might just use that, and I don't think the quality is any different. But I was using like 2 passes, and if you really go into it, it's crazy stuff.
Yeah. So do you think you've reduced your time scale down over the 2 years?
Yeah, once you get that sort of style of what you're reviewing, if you're going to stick to that for a while, then I think you can knock out. So I mean, I could knock out. One evening I could do all the filming, so I could do like 4 videos, 5 videos, filming one night, and then the next night I would edit them all, and then sort of an hour. But then you're almost like just taking out one bit of footage from one video, sticking it in, and then just rendering again and things like that.
How much footage do you think you lose?
Sorry?
How much do you cut out?
Huh?
How much footage do you think you cut out on an average video?
Not a lot. Sometimes the intro quite often, but once you get in the flow, I think that's... I maybe do the intro 1 or 2 times, 3 times, 4 times maybe, but
just to knock it down.
Yeah. Once it's down, once you're in the flow, especially the cognac ones, where I split it into nose, taste, and echo straight away, and then my opinion at the end. You got that nice flow going on, so you could do it was like 20 seconds of the nose, and that was it. That's all you had to record. So you were cutting out quite big chunks where you were going between those little sections. But I mean, again, on Premiere Pro, it's so easy to do. Awesome.
Toby, what about you, mate? Have you reduced your kind of...
Yeah, I've definitely reduced it. And as I've got more familiar with the sort of format that I'm doing, and I'm using templates within the editing process, it's quicker. Setup for me is probably 10 minutes. Just getting the angle of the camera right each time is probably the hardest bit.
And your new light.
Yeah, with my new light. That blinded me the first time I used it. I couldn't see. All I could see were these little rings. Horrible. The recording takes per video takes, I don't know, between 12 and 20 minutes. 12 minutes is probably the shortest I can get away with, even though the video might only be half that length at the end of it. The biggest problem is me sort of getting tongue-tied sometimes and making mistakes.
Sometimes you forget how to talk, don't you?
Yeah, you do. you can't even name the thing that's in front of you. And then editing can be as little as 20 minutes to as much as an hour, probably.
Yeah.
And I don't know about Premiere Pro. I haven't used Premiere Pro probably for 10 years. But you can render a video on my phone in 5-6 minutes. That's all it takes.
Crazy, isn't it, really?
Crazy.
Jim,
longer to upload to YouTube.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Jim, same to you. How has your kind of editing and recording process evolved over the last couple of years?
It's since I stopped doing the intros, a different intro for every video, it's certainly helped now. Basically, what I do is just one intro per series.
Yeah.
So, like the initial, there's an awful lot I do is sort of background stuff, literally background stuff, like the bottles spinning in the background. I maybe take an hour, a couple of hours, and record 8 of them, 10 of them, and that's going to. I know that they're going to be ones I'm going to be reviewing in the future. So then they have to be edited as well, just to loop them as such, and blend them. And but a video itself, just a review itself, I mean, the setup easy because it is almost a studio situation, where switch the lights on and set the camera up and away I go. But editing, like the rest of the guys, it's definitely sped up as I've got more used to it. It's just the exporting and stuff like that there. For me, exporting could be 2-3 hours just to a good file, a workable file, and then suppose we all know getting it up to YouTube, then you're maybe talking another 25 minutes, you know. But the edit itself, I would love. That's something I would love to do for a living, for a job, but it's not something that I've ever worked at or anything, you know. So it's not. I would need to start from scratch, basically. You know.
Yeah. I just think for me, and it sounds like the same. I mean, you're probably all the same, but I never understood the importance of how good. I don't know how much fun editing could be. To be honest, to take something that's so raw and so kind of unprofessional in a way, you know, and just trying to make it and cut it and put the music into it. And I think music, this is something we'll come to in another video, but I didn't understand how integral music was to the beats of a video, if you know what I mean. It adds so much. You can record a video, edit it, watch it, and it's complete garbage. You find the right music for it, it can completely transform that video. There's so many elements to editing that people may not realise happen. That this is what I want to come on to in the next video. I think I want to delve a little bit deeper into actually the editing process and the different things you can do, tips and tricks that we've all got, because I'm sure we've all got our own shortcuts and things that we do that help our editing process. So I think we'll do that in the next video. But it's so much fun, isn't it? When you get it right and you watch it and it works, it's so gratifying, isn't it? That it works well.
I know you, Anthony. I can't speak for the other guys, but I know you're like me. You're a film fan. You're a movie fan, and it feels like as if you're making your own little movie every time that you're doing this. And I've told you before that I do a bit of work as an extra, you know, and that sort of thing. And you see watching those guys work firsthand, and it might sound stupid, but you even pick up off that. You pick up hints and you just go, look, it's lighting, stuff like, you know, stuff that you wouldn't think needs to be taken into consideration, but it does need to be taken into consideration. I'm sitting here at the minute with this isn't the natural light of this room, because otherwise you wouldn't see my face. It's just, you know, you need the light rooms to actually get the light to bounce properly, and I love it.
Yeah. I think it's out of all of the whole of the YouTube channel, the editing side of it is my favourite part, I would say. It's the fact that you get to drink whiskey to do the editing part helps, but I do love the editing side of it, and I think I'm very similar to you, Jim, that if I couldn't record videos myself anymore, I'd love to edit other people's. That's probably where I would like to go with it. But yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? Got family and mouths to feed, so it's easier said than done, isn't it? Just to stop doing your full-time job to edit for a living. But yeah, I mean, I love it. It's a new love of mine, because I just thought you'd jump on YouTube, sit in front of the camera, review your whiskey, and click send to YouTube, and that'd be it, job done. The way it's evolved for all of us to editing and advertising, what we've talked about, and kind of evolving your channel as a brand, because that's what you are now, isn't it? You're all brands, aren't you? In your own rights, you've got your own. You know, you got merchandise, you've got channels, you've got other. You know, you got distilleries who even know your name now, don't you? You know,
you're on. Had words about this last cask fella.
Yeah, you need to have a chat. But it's hard to believe, really, that from humble beginnings that we all were at the start a couple of years ago to where we all have got to, really, isn't it? It's crazy when you think about it, really. You've done amazing, really. All of you have. It's been brilliant. It's been great to be able to watch you all get to this point as well. And Jeff, you'll 100% get there, because you've got, I think everyone here will admit, you've got for want of a better phrase, the X factor of.
I don't know if that's a compliment or not.
It is. It's a compliment.
But then he shaved it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, the moustache has been trimmed.
That's where all the editing goes. It's not real. It's just. Yeah, luckily I had 3 videos in the bank after I took it off, but it was a mate's wedding and it didn't even go ahead. So I've now got to. I can't regrow it now until his wedding, which is next month. Because I said I'm his best man, and I don't want to look like I don't want to upstage him in the politest way. Like I don't want people to look in the wedding photos and see, oh, who's that weirdo with a mustache? I want the focus to be on him, so I can't even grow it back. That's the worst thing.
Yeah. I think Menno's in the chat and he's saying just accept the praise.
I'm
not very good at that. I don't like compliments.
I think we're all like that though, especially when I started. People give you positive comments. You feel like it's if you talking to me that
but we
really accept it.
It's I mean, the only thing I can say to you, everyone here is on screen, apart from David, because he doesn't do any YouTube, he's just here watching. I know what you guys all do and the process and how much work you put into it. So I can tell you from my side of it that you've done brilliant, because I know how much hard work you all put into it, and it's not easy. It takes up a lot of time, takes up a lot of family time, takes up a lot of thought, a lot of thinking about what you're going to do, how you're going to do it. So I understand 100% how much work you put into it, and you're all doing amazing from my side of the screen.
You too, mate.
Yeah.
Long may it continue, and I hope we all can see into the future, a bright future. Hope we can all grow our
channel. By Orange, is it?
Yeah. No, because then it would be like the tango slap, and you'd get on in there, wouldn't you? But I think we'll leave it there, guys. I'd love for you to, I think the next one we do, I want to really delve into editing a little bit more, because I know a lot of the COs were interested in the techniques and stuff we do to actually edit in a bit more of a kind of in-depth kind of thing. So if you're all up for sharing what you do and things like that, and some tips and tricks to help maybe some new channels that are coming along kind of grow, then I'd love to have you back another time, and we'll talk about that, and maybe in part 2. So if that's all right with you guys, we'll call that a night. I've actually recorded it. It seems to be recording still, so we've done well. I'll try and get it up onto YouTube so other people can watch it. But thank you for joining us. Tell you what, before we go, Jim, tell us where people can find you if they don't already know.
Usually hanging around street corners.
Yeah.
Oh, it was
Whisky Novice, the Whisky Novice with an E. Basically, anywhere, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, obviously, and Twitter.
Awesome. Toby, what about you?
So I'm Whisky Shared on all platforms, or whiskyshared.com.
Awesome. Jeff?
JeffsWhisky. Just
everywhere.
That's it, yeah. Everywhere and nowhere.
Everywhere and nowhere. Chris?
I am the last drop.
You have to point, don't you? But you have to point.
Yeah.
The last drop. This is the last drop.
And this is the last drop.
Reviews ride on Twitter for some reason.
Yeah, no, you need to change that. Why is that? Why is it different?
That's another story.
That's another story.
Is it?
Story for another video.
Okay, so we'll revisit that one.
That used to be my channel name. Long story short.
Okay, cool, awesome. Still need to change it though. Can you not change it? Surely
you can't change your Twitter handle now.
Can't you?
Well,
have to restart the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't bother then.
Fuck
It's
that.
all right. Yeah, it's not. Right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for giving us your time. I'll get in touch with you to try and arrange the next one in the future. But I think this was good. I enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Definitely.
Thanks for joining me. And see you soon.
Yeah, we're recording. Shit, fuck bollocks.
Get it out. Anyone else want to say anything? Jeff,
It can trim the end as well. Trim
Come
the
on,
start.
Trim it.
what do you want to say? Say something, Jeff.
I don't know. Don't do pressure.
Oh, God, you just got to
Moustache.
be rude. Say something rude.
Cunt.
Oh!
Oh, but that's too far. Too
Nobody can
far.
top that.
Too far, Jeff. What the hell, man?
You can't go straight
Yeah.
in.
Your hell.
Big
You
C,
can't get
right?
monetized now, can you?
Yeah, you get banned.
No, for God's sake, Jeff. You
Oh,
can tell he's new to it,
God.
can't
You definitely trim the video now.
you? Guys, have a good evening. And
See you
I'll
later.
see you.
See you later.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
bye-bye.
Unbelievable.
Oh, no, I can't believe he did that.
No regrets.